What is good? Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be diving into a topic that I can pretty safely assume 99% of people in the gym after a physique outcome are not thinking about, but absolutely should be. And that's the link between your gut health and your ability to build muscle. I know you might be thinking, what does my digestion have to do with my gains? But the truth is, quite literally, everything. Because if your gut isn't functioning optimally or it isn't healthy, your body is not going to be functioning at its best. And if your body isn't functioning all that well due to poor gut health, good luck building muscle, recovering properly, or even utilizing the food you're eating. You could be putting down all the food in the world, training hard as well, but if your gut's not on point, you are definitely leaving gains on the table because there's this thing called the gut muscle axis. And once you understand how it works, you're going to realize your gut is basically the control center for inflammation, hormone regulation, nutrient absorption, and even muscle protein synthesis. So in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down all of that. I'm going to walk you through exactly how your gut is impacting your ability to grow muscle, why short chain fatty acids are basically, you can think of it like your secret weapon, your ace card for performance and recovery, and then how bile acids tie into it, and what you can actually do starting today to either fix or optimize your gut to see better results in the gym. So whether you're after muscle growth right now, you're trying to bulk up, get a head start on the winter arc like myself, get lean, or just feel better day to day, this episode is getting you give you some practical tools to help you do that. And then on the flip side, if you've ever felt like your body's not responding the way it should, even though you're doing everything right on paper, you're following your nutrition plan, training hard, sleeping maybe on point, this is definitely one you don't want to miss. So first, how does our digestive system influence what I can lift in the gym or how much muscle I build? It's a fair question, to be fair, and the answer lies in what's known, like I said, the gut muscle axis. So your gut is dynamic. It's a living ecosystem made up of trillions of microbes. And these microbes, they don't just help you break down food. They themselves produce important compounds that influence quite literally everything from inflammation to metabolic health and, yes, muscle growth. And one of the most impactful compounds produced by gut bacteria are what are called short chain fatty acids, SCFAs for short, specifically butyrate, propionate, and acetate, which are generated when bacteria ferment dietary fiber. And what happens is these don't just stay in the gut, they then make their way into the bloodstream where they interact directly with muscle cells. And research shows that short chain fatty acids, they enhance insulin sensitivity. So more of what you eat will be partitioned to muscle growth rather than body fat. They reduce inflammation and they support muscle protein synthesis as well, all of which are crucial for muscle growth, recovery, and long-term performance. And on the other hand, when the gut integrity is compromised, so when one has intestinal permeability, or otherwise known as leaky gut, which, I mean, you can essentially think of your intestinal wall, intestinal barrier as like the TSA. So you're gonna go to the airport, you're gonna put your bags on the machine, they're gonna send it through, they're gonna look through, make sure everything's above board, and then they're gonna let you go, or they're gonna pull you over, secondary check, etc. So you can think of your gut lining like that, but when harmful substances that aren't supposed to pass into the bloodstream do, and then trigger systemic inflammation. And that chronic inflammation is going to be a major roadblock for anybody trying to recover or build lean muscle tissue or lose body fat. So when we talk about optimizing gut health, we're not just talking about preventing symptoms like bloating or distension. We're talking about setting the stage for your entire body to function better, including your ability to adapt to your training. So now that we've introduced short chain fatty acids, let's get into a bit deeper into their specific role in muscle function, because short chain fatty acids are produced when beneficial gut bacteria, like I said, break down dietary fiber, and among them, butyrate is particularly noteworthy. Not only does it serve as a primary energy source for the cells lying in your colon, keeping your gut lining strong and functional, but it also enters the bloodstream and does exert some powerful effects on your metabolism. One being its ability to improve mitochondrial function in muscle cells. And because your mitochondria are your cell's energy producers, the powerhouse of the cell, improved mitochondrial efficiency then leads downstream to all positive outcomes, better energy output during your workouts, more efficient recovery after your workouts. And short chain fatty acids also support muscle protein synthesis by activating key signaling pathways inside muscle tissue. And then from a metabolic perspective, They also play a role in stabilizing blood sugar levels and improving insulin sensitivity, both of which contribute to better nutrient uptake, sustained energy, more effective muscle growth via its way of fueling your muscle you're training. So we definitely want to increase our short chain fatty acid production, and we can do that in the following ways. First, we can start by focusing on your fiber intake, particularly a wide variety of fibers found in fruits, vegetables, legumes, and then pair that with fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt as well, which will help support the growth of the very bacteria that produce short chain fatty acids in the first place. So now that we've covered short chain fatty acids and their role, there's another gut derived factor that often flies under the radar. Most people haven't heard about it, and that's bile acids. Now, most people associate that who have heard about bile acids with fat digestion. And yes, that is one of their primary roles. They are produced by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and released into the intestine to help break down and absorb dietary fats. But beyond digestion, bile acids also act as signaling molecules that influence systemic metabolism, including muscle function. They interact with receptors that regulate glucose metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and energy expenditure as well. So when these systems are optimized, it sets the foundation for far better performance, recovery, as well as hypertrophy. And just like short chain fatty acids, bile acids influence the gut microbiome, creating an environment that does support the production of beneficial metabolites. So a healthy bile acid profile has a downstream effect on gut function and microbial diversity, which again brings us back to improved muscle function. So as you can see, it's all connected. Now, to support optimal bile acid production and recycling as well, we want to prioritize a diet that includes healthy fats. So like those from fatty fish, olive oil, avocados, and incorporate liver supportive foods like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, leafy greens as well. Then combine that with simple regular activity, and you've got quite the combo for improving all the downstream effects optimal bile flow and bile acids give us. And you can see that to support short chain fatty acids as well as bile acids, we don't need to take a bunch of supplements to do or do some type of gut detox or gut cleanse nonsense. In reality, it comes down to the basics of a solid, we could say ancestral based diet or just a whole food diet to optimize for all those outcomes those two give us in terms of body composition and performance. And lastly, I want to touch on probiotics, which are the beneficial bacteria that, when consumed in adequate amounts, support a healthy gut environment. And I'm sure you're kind of getting the theme here by now, but beyond digestion and immunity, they may also play a role in muscle metabolism and physical performance as well, because there have been studies, recent ones, that have shown that probiotic supplementation can improve muscle mass and strength, particularly in adults undergoing resistance training. So, pretty damn cool. Now, the mechanisms behind these, quite diverse. There's enhanced nutrient absorption. There's reduced systemic inflammation. There's improved gut barrier integrity, like we talked about, the TSA, all of which create a more favorable internal environment for muscle growth and repair and less inflammation as well. Now, there are certain strains like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium that have been studied for their potential to reduce exercise-induced muscle damage and improve recovery. And while these results are still kind of emerging, the data so far looking pretty damn good for those training intensely or going through periods of high stress, especially like travel or high volume training phases. So incorporating probiotic rich foods or even a high quality supplement can offer some meaningful support for the right people. So incorporating foods again like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, miso, fermented vegetables as everyday staples, pretty good idea to keep your microbiome robust. And on the topic of supplements, to tie up some loose ends, if one has intestinal permeability, otherwise known as leaky gut, which can be induced from alcohol, and a very small amount of alcohol can do it, there's two supplements I would recommend. One, glutamine, strengthen the intestinal wall, 20 grams per day fasted in the morning, and the other being colostrum, which will also help the mucosal lining, but you'll get a bunch of other benefits alongside, like improved immune function, and your gut does house 70% of your immune system, which if you think of it, makes quite a lot of sense. It is literally like your first line of defense from bacteria and pathogens from the outside world. Like where it's going to get into your body is through your mouth. So let's take everything we've gone over so far and break it down into some actionable steps, because understanding some of the factors behind the gut and muscle axis is great, but it only matters if you can actually apply it. So starting with the basics, the first place to start, your gut microbiome, more specifically, the diversity of the bacteria living in your gut. And that's the foundation of basically everything we've talked about so far. The best way to support that is through your diet. So you want to aim for at least 10 different plant foods each week. That'll include fruit, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seed, herbs, anything that kind of grows from the ground. The more variety you get, the more diverse your microbiome becomes. So this is where the old bodybuilding diet, like if you're just eating chicken and rice, can lead to dysbiosis because you're only feeding certain microbes. And the more diverse your microbiome is, the more short chain fatty acids like butyrate you're going to produce, which, like we spoke about, all the benefits of butyrate, insulin sensitivity, lower inflammation, better recovery. Next, get fermented foods into your diet. So kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, yogurt, because these are loaded with live bacteria that help support the balance of your gut. And some of those strains actually have been linked to better lean mass and improved protein absorption as well. So if you're absorbing your nutrients better, they're going to be going to work better. Then we want prebiotic fiber. That's the stuff your good bacteria feed on, which you'll find in foods like garlic and onions, oats, asparagus, bananas as well. Now, it's important to know if you had gut issues in the past, been on antibiotics, or if you're in a hard training phase, adding a probiotic in that certain scenario might help as well. Just look for well-researched strains like lactobacillus or bifidobacterium or bacillus coagulans, or look into a spore-based probiotic. And don't rely on the supplement alone. It's important to know you can't just take a probiotic and you're chilling, but it can be a solid tool to support what you're already doing with your diet. And I also want to touch on hydration, because hydration matters as well. And it's not just water. Electrolytes like sodium, potassium, magnesium, crucial for digestion, crucial for gut lining integrity, and muscle contractions, of course. So if you're low on any of these, your recovery and performance can take a hit. So basics, drinking at least half an ounce of water per pound of body weight. Great start. 2 to 5 grams of sodium per day. Don't be scared of sodium. Then at least 4,700 milligrams of potassium as well. And ideally, you want at least a 1-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium. So let's say you're consuming 3 grams of sodium, you want at least 3 grams of potassium. Ideally, the RDA is 4,700 milligrams of potassium, which barely anybody hits, by the way. So all of that will help you optimize your digestion. And another big needle mover most people overlook, honestly, is your daily routine. Eating around the same time each day, not slamming down an absurd amount of food late at night, which will then tank your sleep, and eating slowly and mindfully, actually chewing your food, your saliva, is going to help break down your food so you can better digest it. Eating in a calm environment, so maybe doing 2 minutes of breath work using the app State, which is something I do. Very simple thing to do to get you in a parasympathetic state, your rest and digest state before you eat. And then even walking after meals, 10-minute walks, great as well. So if you're someone who's consistently bloated, if you're dealing with like irregular digestion, or just feeling fatigued for no clear reason, I wouldn't ignore it. Those are signs that something's off, and at that point, it is definitely worth looking into gut testing or working with someone who knows how to assess and fix these issues, because they are quite complex, and even small imbalances can stall your progress in a big way. Or if you're someone after maximizing your progress, you want optimal outcomes, fixing these issues will allow you to truly reach your full potential. And if you're in a deficit, if you're cutting, if you're dieting hard, getting shredded, your gut needs even more attention then. You've got more stress, you've got less food, higher recovery demands. So this is when supplements like glutamine, colostrum, butyrate, or gut repair blends with orally bioavailable peptides like BPC 157 can be really helpful to support the gut lining, lower inflammation, and help kind of keep your system on point when you're pushing it at a higher stress level. So as you probably know by now, your gut, major player in how well your body performs. So it's not just about digestion, it's about nutrient absorption, which then plays a role in everything. Because if you heard the statement, you are what you eat, that's actually not true. You are what you eat, can digest, absorb, assimilate, and then don't excrete. So that's a big one. Inflammation control, hormone regulation as well, recovery, and muscle growth. So take care of your gut same way you'd take care of your training, nutrition, and you're going to see and feel the difference for sure. So that is a wrap on today's episode. If you want 30 days of free advice, tips that'll fast track your ability to build muscle, drop body fat, have more energy, a free training plan, your nutrition, your exact macros set up for you, a grocery list, much more to transform your physique, health, performance, you can click the first link in the description for my free 30-day email series and for coaching, as well as discount codes on the supplements I use. Those are all linked in the description as well. I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.